guys, it's Fahisha, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of my Asylum challenge. I hope that you were able to enjoy my intro video and you're ready to just delve right in. So, first things first, we move all of the residents in and we get all 8 Sims lined up with a job. It doesn't take long for the drama to begin. Colton discovers that Bailey is an alien, which something that she wasn't planning on revealing anytime soon. So, Bailey heads outside and busies herself cleaning up debris from the previous tenants. Then, she slinks upstairs to take solace in a game of chess with one of her fellow alien residents, Jackson. Heading back downstairs into the common room, we see a group of the residents lounging on the couch and watching TV. It looks like the common room will be one of the busiest places in the asylum. Gianna's love of plants prompts her to start right away on planting her own garden. As long as the other residents watch their step around her garden plots, grapes, plantains, and apples will be ready for picking in the next few days. Being out in nature was just what she needed. Allison spent all morning upstairs trolling the forums. Being antisocial much? Sometime afternoon, Gianna thought she'd run upstairs and at least try to engage Allison in conversation. Luckily, her efforts to be friendly were well received. Down in the common room, a group of residents were watching TV when Colton decided to lay into poor Frank. There was just something about him, apparently, Colton didn't like. Gianna's new job in the painter career got her creative juices flowing, and she was able to start dabbling with her new easel and paints. Within time, maybe someone would think that her work is worth something. Julian decided that he was finished hanging out with the group, and that telling stories to himself upstairs sounded like a much better idea. Allison called Gianna out for being an alien. That had Gianna feeling really glum. She thought for sure that her disguise was at least good enough that she could fool people for a little while. After that embarrassing ordeal, Gianna thought, "There's nothing like a hot, ooey-gooey cheese sandwich to raise my spirits," so she rummaged around in the fridge and got started. She had just begun cooking when she heard a pop and a sizzle, and it wasn't coming from the stove. Apparently, the previous tenants had left a faulty fridge behind. This was going to have to be fixed. Gianna finished up her cooking and headed into the common room. Yep, she thought, nothing like some melty cheese and toast to make me feel right as rain. Not everyone was having such a good day. For Bailey, it was like she had a target on her back. It was discovered that she was an alien, and that it was like she couldn't say anything right. "That was a really bad joke," said Jackson. Bailey was so embarrassed that she was literally glowing. After finishing up her ooey-gooey snack, Gianna headed back into the kitchen. It was time to tackle the repairs on the fridge. It's a good thing her counselor back on Sixum had taught her a thing or two about mechanics. Gianna was a bit miffed when her fellow residents walked through the kitchen. They all had to complain about the mess from the broken fridge, but none of them actually bothered to clean it up. There was a small pile of leftover parts by the time that Gianna was finished with the repairs. She had planned on holding on to anything that looked remotely useful. Maybe she'd be able to put her mechanical skills to work later doing some upgrades around the house. Gianna had barely stood up and dusted herself off when the darn sink broke. "Really, Frank? You're really gonna just walk away?" Gianna mumbled. If it wasn't for the fact that there were only 2 sinks in the whole house, Gianna might have just walked away herself. Fridge fixed? Check. Sink fixed? Check. The evening had definitely not been uneventful. Yasmin laid her claim to the biggest bed and was fast asleep well before 9 p.m. Gianna went back to check on her plants, but of course they were just fine. Now she just needed someone to talk to. Allison. Too bad she was sleeping. Gianna only felt a little bit bad as she climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor. "Psst, Allison, wakey wakey," whispered Gianna. The 2 ladies had a pretty good chat, and when Allison headed downstairs to grab an evening snack, Gianna slid into bed while the blankets were still warm. Nobody thought that Allison's attire was very tasteful for the kitchen, but Colton was the only one who had the guts to tell her off. As the night was closing in, tensions began to skyrocket. Jackson accused Julian about having skin too bright. Allison slunk back upstairs after being shooed from the kitchen, but all the beds had been taken, so she laid down on the couch in the common room. Julian met the same fate when he trekked upstairs to hunt for a bed, and he ended up sleeping in an armchair in the common room instead. Colton was the guilty party concerning the broken toilet, but he didn't even bother to tell anyone. He just walked away and shut the door behind him. It was pretty quiet on the second floor of the asylum, where 5 lucky Sims had scored a bed to sleep in. Colton spied Allison snoring on the couch. He tapped her shoulder and she woke up. Colton apologized for what he had said earlier in the kitchen. She forgave him, this time. The pair stayed up for the rest of the night, happily chatting with each other. Tomorrow at work was going to be really rough. Gianna woke up at 6 a.m. sharp, feeling well rested and ready for her first day of work. She'd be cleaning up art supplies at the local art studio. Not the most fun job, but hey, it could be worse. Yasmin woke up with a scowl on her face, despite the fact that she had had a whole bedroom with a queen-size bed to herself last night. She was grumpy about starting work as just an intern. She felt that she was way better than that. If they didn't promote her fast, there would be some words exchanged, and they probably wouldn't be nice. Nobody had made breakfast, so Gianna set straight away into making a plate of scrambled eggs. Cooking went faster than expected. She only added just a tad too much pepper. It seemed as if Yasmin was determined to ruin everyone else's day, only because she had woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Poor Frank took the brunt of her anger. What's wrong with potato chips for breakfast? After breakfast, Gianna headed outdoors to check on her garden. She was surprised to see how much they had grown. It was almost as if they bloomed overnight. Gianna headed in to wash off the dirt from her hands, but was distracted by what sounded like a fountain running. Someone had broken the downstairs toilet, and nobody had even bothered to mop up the puddle. So Gianna took it upon herself to tidy up, and then get herself cleaned up before her shift. She finished up and was out the door just in time. Bailey dived into an open bag of potato chips for her breakfast. Maybe Frank was on to something. She was looking forward to her first day as a support specialist. Nobody would be able to tell she was an alien through the computer. Everyone but Julian had left for work. He still had a few hours, so he took advantage of the quiet and snuggled in for an afternoon nap. Jackson came home in good spirits, albeit a bit smelly from cleaning all those hospital rooms. Gianna, Yasmin, Frank, and Allison all got home at the same time. The asylum again would be hopping. Frank was pretty glum. He had failed a huge test on space while there at work. For once, being an alien hadn't given him the advantage. Guess he should have studied harder. Gianna sat down to plunk some keys on the piano. She was looking for some fun, but wasn't interested in painting at the moment. It had been a rather stressful day with the paints. Between staying up all night and her grueling workday, Allison almost passed out by the front door. Thankfully, the couch in the common room was free. It would do. Climbing the stairs was going to be just too much work. Everyone in the asylum could hear Bailey singing at the top of her lungs in the shower. No question about it, she was in a great mood, and she wasn't half bad either. Someone in the common room turned on the TV, and Allison groggily got up from the couch. She went plodding off and somehow ended up on the back porch instead. In her defense, she had used a flight of stairs. She was beyond exhausted and crumpled in a heap with her cheek pressed to the cold stone tiles. Bailey was spending more and more time alone. It was as if she were hiding from the other residents. They already knew that she was from Sixam. What was the big deal? Wasn't it time for her to join in again? When Julian came home at midnight, he was all bunged up and filthy as all get out. Apparently, the life of a thug's bodyguard really was rough stuff. Jackson woke up in the middle of the night with a strong urge to use the restroom. It meant forfeiting his bed, but when you have to go, you have to go. He ran straight for the bathroom, not bothering to knock, and unfortunately, Julian was in the middle of taking a bath. Good job, Jackson. Now both guys are embarrassed. Frank woke up extra early just so he could give himself a pep talk in preparation for his workday. He was determined not to let yesterday's mistakes happen again. Julian plodded downstairs. He was so embarrassed from having been walked in on while taking his bath. He was after a cheesy grilled snack. He heard a pop and a sizzle when he opened the fridge. Gianna had just fixed it. She is going to be so mad, thought Julian, as he set his bread and cheese on the floor. Hey, Nobody said that Sims were logical. Allison was about to hop in the tub when she saw the filth. "Aw, guys," she whined, and then proceeded to give the tub a good scrubbing before stepping in. Yasmin woke up with a smile on her face in the morning. She'd been moody and grumpy all day yesterday, and it hadn't done her a bit of good. Maybe she would shake it up from her norm and be nice for a change. She was even friendly to Frank, teasing him playfully about his potato chip breakfast rather than berate him for it. Jackson laid into Bailey the minute that she walked into the kitchen. Apparently she was standing in a puddle and it was spreading all over the floor. Never mind that he was doing the exact same thing. Bailey was so irritated with Jackson that she lost her appetite and stormed off to work. Alrighty folks, that's it for this episode of the Asylum Challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode. Bye guys! I just wanted to say thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up on my newest videos. Give me a like if you enjoyed this video and leave me a comment because I think they're cool.